Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's Wednesday. Let's take a look at some alts. It's a bit of a modern miracle that we haven't broken down on the crypto side of things because we have dollar strengthening, kind of like a runaway freight train, really with no end in sight here. We've got NASDAQ and S&P breaking down. Not even a bear trend yet, might I add, on those. This is just trend reversal so far. Mean reversion type stuff. Then we've got oil, which is making mega new highs, which will have implications for inflation and embolden the higher for longer strategy. So all that is also related to yields. Obviously, yields are pushing up. That should theoretically push everything down. Now, gold has gotten the message. Gold is down pretty decently today. And the only reason I bring this up in an altcoin video is because, again, it's amazing that so far we're holding steady here. Now, either you're in the camp that says, well, this is super bullish, we haven't broken down, and we should have broken down in a big way, already, and this is good for alts. This is good for Bitcoin. This is good for ETH. Or you're still in the camp of, look, eventually real yields are just going to crush everything. Dollar strength is going to crush everything. Inflation expectations rising is going to crush everything. So just you wait, Josh. This is going to break down. I'm more in that camp. I think eventually this will break down. I think ETH breaks down. I think Bitcoin breaks down. I think alts continue to break down broadly. This is a total 3 market cap of everything non-BTC, non-ETH. I took out stablecoins as well, just in case you're curious and you've never seen that before. But let's be honest, the 10 people watching this video, they've seen this chart before. So just putting TA on this still suggests bearish continuation for most alts. Now, the interesting thing here is, again, if we look at real yields in the green, real yields have broken out in a big way. 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, all making mega multi-year highs, multi-decade highs. And here we are on the crypto side of things, just kind of flat. Now, there are a few coins, Link, Maker, actually doing pretty well, kind of on the higher end of the market cap, that would help keep this afloat a little bit. Now, if you looked at like layer 1s versus layer 2s versus DeFi, I bet you get a different picture rather than just sort of lumping everything together. I mean, I'm sure gaming, Web3 stuff is down considerably. So if you are, let's say, real world yield adjacent, arguably something like Maker where you can tap into that, then you're doing okay here, right? You're not falling off a cliff like, let's say, an AVAX or a Polkadot or something like that, some other layer 1 that's sort of competing with ETH and competing against dollar strength, real world yields, that sort of thing, right? So here's Maker, right? Maker's done really well. I haven't really heard too many people discuss it per se, but I'm just trying to think, what can I add to the discourse here, because generally everything is a dumpster fire across the board. This has had a multi-month consolidation before the breakout, just like it had at the top before the breakdown. I like, 15 to 17 as a target, just based on a measured move here. I saw some people calling for cup and handle. Sure, that looks possible too. That would bring it probably closer to 2K. This is kind of the one thing that's doing really well here, right? Because we know Link is flat and ranging, and that's not bearish, but Maker is certainly quite bullish here. Looking at dominance, still holding that 50% level. Certainly not broadly altcoin season by any stretch of the imagination. And alts tend to do better after Bitcoin's halving anyway, so I don't think there's any rush here to jump into anything. Another question that people are continuously asking, who's here to buy any of this stuff anyway? We just had Chase UK shut down crypto transactions, basically telling people to go elsewhere in their statement. So I can't imagine we're going to see any less of that globally anytime super soon. Ultimately, it matters the most in the US for regulatory clarity, but if it's hard to get money into the ecosystem, it's certainly going to be hard to have price appreciation anywhere. Looking at stablecoins, USDC continues to just nose down here ever so slightly. Tether kind of holding flat, but they're trying their hardest though over in USDC land to increase adoption, keep people into the ecosystem, and it's just not panning out in their favor yet if you're just looking at circulating supplies, which I think is the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. And again, rates and regulation would certainly help stablecoins. Flipping gears to ETH, not too much to say on the new front. To me, it's still leaning bearish, still looking like it's ready to break down from diagonal supports. It's interesting how many times it sort of teased this level. The next level down based on volume wouldn't be until 12 to 13. And again, it's a modern miracle. It's a Christmas miracle that we haven't broken down yet, right? Still no volume. This is an index. Absolutely no volume here whatsoever. That's going to be the determining factor, but I'm already short ETH. So I have bear goggles on. I've had bear goggles on for ETH. No surprise there. I think this does go lower. The counter argument to bearishness would be that maybe this is a falling wedge. It's a hot mess, but maybe it's a falling wedge. Maybe this is a bull div, and the eventual move will be up. That's the bull argument, right? We've had plenty of chances to experience some kind of reversal, some sort of immaculate bullish conception here, and we've just faded every single move. Even today, where we had a hearing, there was some SEC stuff, blah blah blah. Maybe there's an ETF for ETH futures coming in October, but in the moment, headlines are not enough to get people here, to keep people here, and to get people excited about Ethereum. So still lean bearish for me on that, and ETH BTC also leans bearish for me currently. There may be some weird punctuated equilibrium thing where there's this ETF announcement that the ETH futures goes through in an ETF in some form, and you get a good couple days on ETH, and then the excitement dies down or something like that. But the general direction that I'm expecting here for ETH against Bitcoin is continuing to just decline. The biggest flows are going to be a Bitcoin spot ETF, and relative to ETH, I think that's when it sees the biggest move to the downside, when you see most of the flows coming into the denominator rather than the numerator. Something else to watch for on ETH is the validator queue times and the validator queue just generally. There's less people throwing ETH into a staking vehicle. Queue times have come way down. And I would love to see people unstaking. That would be a good sign for capitulation. Right now, there's still hope. There's still a lot of expectation of future profit type of behavior based on what I see in this. And I want to see people, I don't want to see people lose money, but I do want to see sentiment to flip on ETH rather than being perma bull to something other than that, right? And we can look at the yield as well, which continues to come down as ETH gets thrown into staking vehicles, and eventually there should be some sort of equilibrium there where yield will decline to a point where the general crowd will feel like it's not really worth the time, especially if prices on ETH are declining. Link, everybody keeps talking about. Not a huge fan generally. I don't know why the token exists, but it is a trading vehicle and is listed in many places, so we will talk about it. Much like many of the charts historically that have ever done surprise moves to the upside, let's say, GME, AMC, Doge. It's a different situation here, obviously, but we've had a year of sideways, year plus of sideways, year and a half. Coming off of a brutal bear market, there's certainly an expectation on anything, regardless of what it is, that there is some sort of potential upside momentum breaking here. I think above 8, this looks better. Above 850, this looks better. In the moment, it is still range bound, but it does look very good. I like 12 to 14 as an upside target. Eventually, maybe another year and a half before it breaks out, but it does look pretty good. And it does look good against Bitcoin too. That's an important part. I'm sure Maker does as well. Breaking out of this falling wedge, high time frame cloud, at least attempting to, right? There's no guarantee that this is going to continue here, but you do have a few outliers. It's very hard to find any outliers that aren't super bearish, but this would definitely be a couple of them. I think it probably is too late for Maker. If I can find the chart, it's probably too late for me to jump into Maker at this point, but at least somebody's making money somewhere, right? Before I go any further on charts, let's talk about today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with a link in the description of this video. And another thing I was sort of poking around, again, how can I add value to this conversation? If you're trading against a different pair, now let's say you're trading against the euro, we know that the euro is weakening against the dollar. So the question I had was, is there any strength for crypto relative to the euro? And I would argue there kind of is. Bitcoin's holding its range. ETH certainly looks better. Doesn't look great, but it looks better against the euro. Ultimately, what you're looking for here, at least for me, I'm looking for tradable setups anywhere, right? So not only could you look for odd pairs, let's say, Solana relative to ADA or something, but on Kraken, you can look at non-USD pairs, which in a environment like the current one, there may be some setups here that you wouldn't otherwise care about or pay attention to. But we'll focus on the USD side of the house. Again, we're seeing Tether at the top of this list. Generally, I'm just going to guess that's not bullish. We want to see crypto pairs at the top, not a stablecoin pair. That's more of a sentiment check than anything. Just not seeing a lot of trading generally on the crypto side of the house. Let's take a look at Solana. Still in this falling wedge, arguably still in range-bound mode. I know a lot of people are still super bullish Solana. That's great. But chart does not pan out to be on your side. Let's just add 5,200 cross. Why not? So we're getting a death cross on that pair as well. Certainly no bulls on that side of the house based on the chart. Ripple, Ripple is tough because not only do I not understand why it exists, but generally it has been ranging for a very, very long time. There's no real setups to be had in the moment for me. I've traded Ripple in the past. I've made money on Ripple, but there's no there, right? We already talked about Link. Link looks good from an eventual breakout perspective. It's got PR. It's got God knows what with staking, right? I don't really care about any of that because to me it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You'll see it in the price, if it actually mattered. Somebody asked me about Bitcoin Cash the other day, another coin that for me has no fundamental reason to actually exist. Look at the metrics on this thing as far as anybody using it, and there isn't anybody using it, but it's not delisted. It's here. It's on a lot of exchanges. It looks okay. It looks to be ranging. No idea why it's up 6% today. Not really sure who's rushing in to buy that one. Doge, like many alts, at the bottom of its multi-year range. Not a great place to be if you see rising yields. Now, I'm guessing there's not a lot of institutional money in Doge anyway, but the point still stands. There's less of a reason for anybody to buy this when they could throw money in a yielding vehicle, risk-free, at 5% plus. Doge looks very bearish to me. If anything, I'd want to see this breakdown. I'd want to see the entire market puke a lot to start thinking about buying any of this yet. We're talking Doge at like a penny and a half or something. You want to see headlines. You want to see emotion, fear, media attention, whatever it is. Because right now, not many people are here. Not many people care. EOS, look, it's basically making an all-time low almost every other week. I'm guessing there's a lot of people who weren't here for the whole EOS hype cycle, but the reason I feel the way I do about alts is because I've been here for 3-4 cycles now, and alts that were the best thing since sliced bread a couple cycles ago, you don't even hear a blip about in any regard, right? So that is a cautionary tale. Matic continues to slip lower against the BTC pair. It's also at lows. Let's just look at that real quick. Not a great look. Again, you do not want to be at lows when real yields are rising rapidly. Okay. So either you're hoping for real yield to break something, for the Fed to back down, and for rates to come down, stimmies to come out, whatever, right? Maybe you're betting on some pre-election stimulus, buying votes. I don't know, right? Thinking outside the box here, what could help the altcoin market? Even if that's the case, we're not there yet, right? I don't think any of this stuff looks bad enough to buy just yet. Stellar flattened down, maybe inverted cup and handle here. Does not look bullish in any regard. It gave back all of its post-Ripple announcement winnings. Litecoin post-halving does not look so hot. Last week I definitely struck a chord with a few people when I talked about proof of work chain insecurity. But without Doge, without the mining of Doge, the merge mining of Doge, Litecoin may not be as secure as it is today. So watch for that to crop up here if things start to puke lower in a big way. And Litecoin's got a multi-year support that it's sitting on here. So, hey, if you're a Litecoin bull, I think this is your last stand. better get busy at this support, because everyone's just going to be watching the rest of these supports on the way down, right? They're going to watch this one, this one, this one. Now, do I think Litecoin's necessarily going to 23? I don't, but those are the levels people are going to be watching, guaranteed. And it certainly doesn't look bullish at the moment. Cardano also does not look bullish. Again, all these I'm not talking about, all these have a death cross for the most part. Momentum is just not on their side. They had a mini recoup, a mini reprieve, mini respite earlier in the year, but now it's looking pretty clear to me that we're headed for additional lower lows across the board. Maker we talked about. Monero's another one. Looks okay. You know, oddly enough, to me, it's got some sort of head and shoulders on the USD pair. But then if we flip to the BTC pair, it actually looks pretty great to me. So I don't know what's going to win out there, but this is an inverted head and shoulders. It's getting ready for a 5200 bull cross. So against BTC, it doesn't look bad. Continues to just hold its ground, you know, like Link. And the longer it can hold its ground in the bear market, the higher the likelihood to me that it actually has a move when things aren't as bearish to the upside. So XMR looks okay to me. Filecoin, again, you know, the Cardano fractal, the AVAX fractal, the Polkadot fractal. Where is AVAX anywhere on this list? Way down here. DOT, just continued lower lows. I mean, this is the expectation for anything with emissions here, that it just continues to bleed. AVAX continues to move lower. No surprise there. And it's the slow bleeds that'll get you, because again, that means no capitulation, no fear necessarily, and no emotion. I don't want to catch a knife. I don't want to watch the knife slowly go through my hand either. Curve had bounced quite a bit there. Still kind of in this downward range. Not something for me that I would touch. Lido, let's take a look at this. Another chart pointing down and to the right. And there isn't, to me, any obvious chart pattern, anything going on here. It's just, you know, just slow bleed. If we try to find the channel, you know, look, I mean, it needs to get out of this channel first for me to get excited. Now, you could range trade this. You could say, well, we're at the lows, take a stab, and you know, sell it at the 200-day moving average or something. But I just don't. I don't think that's a great setup, personally. Take a look at Atom. Haven't looked at this one in a minute. More slow bleed, parabolic downside. Just doesn't look happy to be here. You know, because we just talked about these yesterday. You know, maybe there's something with a harmonic. You know, you're basically just guessing. But anytime I see this double top type pattern, it's an interesting potential harmonic, but definitely not bullish in the moment. Just continuous over the past year move to the downside. Uni also not looking so hot here. Descending triangle, bearish expectation on that. Let's take a look at Aave, bearish expectation on that, right? All of these have continuous multi-month bearish moves they've made. Lower high after lower high after lower high. SNX doesn't look terrible, kind of ranging like Link again, right? But for me, this is much more exciting at the highs around $3 rather than playing around down here at all in the range. You know, if anything, maybe there's something here eventually where we get a breakout at 3. So I think an alert somewhere around like 295 or something would be worth it. And until then, I would not think about this chart very much. Let's look at comp. Pulled way back, and now it's just ranging. Not a lot of excitement on that one. And look, not a lot of excitement across the board. But if you're here and you're still looking at this stuff, it's important to have some sort of trade idea in mind eventually when things turn the corner. So I think we'll stop there for now. There's not too much going on in altcoin land. And that's evident, by the way, by the amount of views that these videos get. So I know that no one's here based on that alone. You know, when the views start to pick up on this channel, hey, maybe it's me, but I don't think so. Then we'll know people are trading alts again. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.